Hey everybody, it's Suzette Speaks here, and it's a beautiful night to talk about relationships. If you're like me, you've had a couple relationships in your lifetime or even recently that have not quite gone your way. And we're going to explore with a very special guest tonight why that is. And oftentimes, the reason why relationships don't work out most often is because of conflict. Yes, I said it. Sometimes we do not know how to get along with other people. And when we disagree, oftentimes we give up and throw in the towel. But if you're like me, I am open to learning more about how best to deal with relationship conflict. Now, picture this. I have recently gone on a couple dates. I know you're shocked, but I've sat and I've talked to, different gentlemen and hearing some of the things that they've gone through and things that they've been through. It is a very eye-opening, what should I say, case study, and why it is that some people just don't do well when it comes to disagreeing with another person. So we can talk about it in relationships, but I think in society as a whole, we have a problem right now with understanding how to love and appreciate differences, idiosyncrasies, ways people may not agree with you. And I like to tell people this all the time. Just because I don't agree with your preference doesn't mean I don't like you. I think sometimes it's very hard for people, grown ups, to separate the two. But if you have been through a relationship where you've had to go through therapy, this is a really interesting show tonight because I have a psychologist on hand who practices on a daily basis therapy and what should I say, counseling people who are dealing with difficulties, whether it's as a single person who is dating or in marriage. And I'm going to ask her to enlighten us with some examples from her real life. Of course, she has to keep confidentiality, but just in generalities, she's going to be able to talk to us a little bit about why we get conflict wrong, why it is that we place so much emphasis on the other person meeting our needs and not vice versa. Sometimes, I don't know about you, we expect people to be mind readers. Yes, there are some of us who want, especially ladies, speaking of, our sometimes shortcomings, and I can't speak for all, but for me, let me just say, in my mind, sometimes I want someone to already know what I'm thinking or to know what I want. And that's not how life works. That's not how relationships work. So if you ever get caught up in disagreements, let's call them, or full out blowouts, whether you're married or whether you're single, hopefully tonight's show will help illuminate you on some things that maybe you got wrong. And it's not to say that you're a bad person or that you can't get better, but we want to hopefully energize you. This is what we want to see, y'all. Some, I don't know about you, he ain't got to be a perfect Prince Charming, but we really want to bring back the love, especially among the Black community, where there is a lot of, I think, misunderstanding between the in a heteronormative sense, the genders. So we are going to get into it. Hit the like button as you come in. Suzette Speaks here, wanting to get y'all active. If you are watching Team Replay, hit that like button. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome those watching on the Suzette Speaks pages. If you guys don't know who I am, hey, welcome. It's Suzette Speaks, y'all. I'm really excited. I got a great lineup for you. By the way, if you're just coming in, hit the like button. How to handle relationship conflict is tonight's topic. And again, I know this is a good one. We got a limited amount of time. I want to bring up Dr. Q Perry just momentarily, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up. I got some great shows coming up, by the way. If you are new to the channel, if you're ninja watching, go ahead and subscribe. Let us know that you're watching. Hit the like button. I'm really excited about the lineup the next few weeks. We are talking marriage and relationships, conflict resolution today. But don't forget, I have it, I think, coming up. Simsia. Finally, my brother on these YouTube streets, Simsia, will be joining me Saturday talking about, goodness gracious, the topic is like, looking good kept me broke. Like looking good kept me broke. He chose the topic. Can't wait for Simsia to come tell his story. That's Saturday, 12 noon. Big up my brethren on these YouTube streets, Simsia. I also got tomorrow conversations with Nicole. She is a YouTuber as well. She'll be in the building. And we're going to talk a little bit about Black women in the news, Cheryl Lee Ralph, The Little Mermaid. Here and there in the last few weeks, we've heard a lot said about women in the entertainment industry, Serena. So we're going to touch on open mic style, a little bit of everything tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you go and hit that reminder. All of these streams are up. We need to talk. Yes, the big brother in the space is coming to my channel next week. We need to talk. We'll be here having a real conversation. If you watch his channel, you know he loves to do deep dives when it comes to Black men and Black women understanding each other. So I can't wait to have We Need to Talk next week. The streams are already up, y'all. Go to them, like them, hit the reminder, the notification bell. And of course, Harrison Family Values finishes out the month with me. Can't wait to have him back. Harrison Family Values, big up yourself. But tonight, as I'm doing my infomercial, hit the like button, y'all. Dr. Q Perry is my guest. Can't wait to hear what she has to say. If you've ever been in conflict, if you are trying your best to avoid conflict, or maybe you know what it's like to, wish you could take something back. Oftentimes we don't realize so much of what we say, can be interpreted, right? Or misinterpreted by the ones that we love the most. So whether you are that partner sometimes getting your feelings hurt, whether you are the person that sometimes maybe comes across a little strong, a little unfiltered, ladies, okay, gents, I don't know, I can only speak from my point of view. We want to know what you do to make sure you are in the right kind of mindset when it comes to dealing with conflict. We can't avoid it, whether we're in, our professional lives at work, or, in our personal lives with friendships, or within even family dynamics, parental and children relationships. But tonight we're talking about romantic relationships when it comes to conflict. What do you do? What are some of the best tips and tricks to make sure you are not in the on the short end of the stick when it comes to being misunderstood or misunderstanding someone else? All right, let's see who's in the chat. What's up, everybody? The Gray Pill Podcast. How are you? Welcome, brother. Nice to have you. What's good, Doug? I saw DL Saint was still up, and I was actually listening for a little bit. Shout out to my brother on these YouTube streets. So hopefully I'll catch his replay. And thank you for coming over. Good to see you, Ebony X in the building. How are you? Welcome. Yes, let's see. Doug says, I hate that with a passion. I'm not a mind reader. Speak your mind, sis, instead of pouting and expecting me to know what you're thinking. Okay, Doug, you already kind of setting the table a little bit. Sometimes there are so many things going on really within a person that when they finally start to open up, you're like, oh, I thought you were mad at me. It had nothing to do with you. And oftentimes we misread behavior. We're interpreting that the person wants to be alone because of something that we did. I like my space. Sometimes I just need to step away, not because I'm overwhelmed by you or something you did, but just because I'm overwhelmed in general. I'm very big on space, and it's not a matter of, I don't like you. Let me call you tomorrow is my loving way of saying, bro, I can't take more information and I can't process anything else right now that you're saying. And I'm not mad about it. I want to listen to it. I want to be joyful. I want to be there with you. But right now I can't. And sometimes that happens. We are inundated in our lives with all kinds of heaviness, issues, challenges, stress, that when it comes to relationships, the poor person that you're with has to deal with all of it. And it kind of leaves them hanging sometimes and feeling unwanted, or like I said, even misunderstood. But if you're coming in, come on, hit the like button. We talking relationships. Y'all say y'all like when I talk about dating and relationships. So here you go. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. On a real note, glad you're watching. Grateful for everyone here. Everybody always supporting my content. You guys know I like to do hot topics. As I said, I got a few shows coming up between now and the end of the month. The streams are already up. So you can hit the notification bell and come through and show some love, please. And I look forward to seeing many of you. But without further ado, what's up, wonderful? Just want to say hi to a couple more people. But what's up, everybody? XDMC, how are you? One love to you, my brother. Good to see you. And I'm so glad you're here. So before I run out of time with my guest here, let me bring her up because she said yes right away. Came from Instagram Connect. Thank you, Instagram. And I'm glad she said, hey, why not? Wanted to come through and bless us with her knowledge. So without further ado, for my guest, who is a psychologist tonight, y'all welcome for the first time on the Suzette Speaks show, none other than Dr. Q Perry. How are you, sis?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm excited that you're here. We got a lot to get to, so let you
Yes, we
introduce
do.
yourself first and foremost to the people.
All right. So, hey, everybody. My name is Dr. Quavondra Perry. I am a board certified psychologist here in Dallas, Texas, and my area of specialty is in couple and family psychology. So, what that means is that if you come to me for couples therapy, I can help you with that. If you come to me individually, most likely you'll be talking to me about some relationships. So, I tend to help people all day, every day with relationships. So, I'm super excited about this topic.
All right, so the right lady for the job, y'all. Welcome, Dr. Q Perry. Go find her on Instagram. I'm gonna update the description and put her handles and everything in there so you guys can find her and check her out. But Doc, I'm so glad. I really from looking at your page, that's what had me interested in first and foremost you, and then what you do, and
Mm-hmm.
then some of the quotes that you had up on your page. I was like, oh yeah, she knows what time it is when you sometimes misinterpret another person's actions. Things that
Yeah.
make you feel unworthy are not always intended to make you feel unworthy when received or when delivered by the other partner. So let's break down what we call relationship conflict, or give us some examples so we know kind of what definitionally we're talking about when it comes to handling conflict. So what would you define, or how do you see relationship conflict in your practice?
Yeah, so conflict for me is anytime I see a person or two people who are in disagreement, and so the best thing to do is to figure out if this conflict is on the mild end of the spectrum or it's on the extreme end. Because sometimes what I've realized is that anytime a person hears conflict, they automatically think trauma, they automatically think domestic violence, and so because of that misunderstanding of what conflict is, people just avoid it altogether. And so I see so many people hurt, confused, just left without any issues because both people don't have a good understanding of what conflict is. And so it's just a disagreement, y'all. It's just two different points of view, putting it simply.
So disagreements are going to happen. And that's why I think sometimes
Absolutely.
people get discouraged thinking that the relationship is over or there's no coming back
Hmm.
from certain things because, we don't like the same or don't agree on an issue. So, what's the most common type of conflict when you're talking about romantic relationship in that heteronormative, if you will, um, kind of framework? What are you seeing mostly when people come to you and like, okay, Doc, I've had it. I can't take this man. I don't like this woman. What are they arguing about? What is the conflict over?
So there's a few things that keep coming up over and over, and so sometimes you want to just say it's communication issues, but what specifically are the communication issues? Sometimes it's just this plain old situationship that we find ourselves in. One person is like, I'm good. We don't really need to formalize anything. We don't really need to get married, and the other person is like, yeah, really, we do need to define this relationship. Where are we going? Also, people having different ideas about trust, what you consider cheating versus what I consider cheating. And because of social media and texting, that comes up all the time. Of course, finances come up. You might be a spender, I might be a saver. Parenting differences come up, whether it's, with our biological children or stepchildren. Sometimes we call them bonus children. And then, of course, sex. There are lots of issues around sex. How much, when, with who do we want to invite other people into the relationship? Because I'm also a Christian psychologist, I also hear a lot of people trying to decide, do we want to stay celibate while we're dating? Do we want to just try it out? So those are the main issues that I'm seeing in conflict.
Ma'am, there's so much you just said there. I don't even know where to start because I'm
Yeah.
like, I know we got about an hour or so let's get to it. So when I think about the first thing that jumped out to me, so much of that I can relate to because if you are a human being now in 2022, you are looking around sometimes between the way you were raised, how you think things
Yes.
should go, and then this kind of social marketplace where you are seeing a lot of influence from social media, this
Yeah.
idea of what to do in every stage, whether you're dating or whether you're actually married, rearing
Hmm.
kids. It's so much outside pressure based on, what we see, what's in our hand, that phone. So when it comes to, let's pick up, I guess, I would love to start with like what's considered cheating and things like that, because there's so many people that get down in the DMs and they may say, even when I experience, sometimes I'm seeing, I don't know if they're in the relationship or not. I'd be like, bro, you DM me every day though. You don't have to DM me every day. It seems, people even looking for affirmation or a simple attaboy by sending you a Facebook Messenger, not necessarily seeking, in my eyes. I don't know if they are opening the door to more, but what are some of the ways in which that manifests that you've seen in your practice?
Yeah. So that is exactly one of the ways where a person is unhappy in their relationship, but instead of telling their partner, then they decide, let me just get some attention. I just want to see if I still got it. I want to feel loved. I want to feel wanted. So let me post a picture. Sometimes that's what people do instead of sliding in the DMs. Let me just post what they call a thirst trap picture, right? It's my way of saying, I want to be seen. You're not seeing me, so I want to be seen. Or sometimes, unfortunately, people expose themselves when really what they want is to be seen. That can also show up in communicating with an ex, or starting to disclose some certain things about people. The biggest thing I see is people getting back on the dating app. So even if we've decided that we're going to be exclusive, when things get rocky, people are like, let me just kind of see what else is out there. Let me reactivate my page. Let me see, if I can still get,
Let me
some
see if I
attention.
still got it. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes, sir. Men
yeah,
and women do this, right?
yeah. Both. Absolutely, absolutely.
So the conflict arises. Okay, so we're talking about communication, y'all, and we're talking about, in the age of social media, how people interpret, posting of pictures, seeking attention. There's
Hmm.
I think a viral now, ladies saying, "I can't believe it's more important to be noticed, be seen, gain affirmation on social media than to love your family, be loved by your husband, and loved by your children." I'm like, I'm not sure if people are saying that, man, but I understood her point.
Yeah.
So when you're setting boundaries in this way, what are some healthy ways to even discuss it? So I'm sure it comes to you after the person has posted the pic, where they half naked or they showing their chest or whatever the guy or girl is like out there. And so the conversation goes kind of how?
So the conversation goes, in my mind, I'm asking, how were you feeling before posting the picture? Because context is everything, right?
Mm,
Could have just been, I was bored and I just wanted to post something. But if I know, if your partner can hear you tell me, I was feeling pretty lonely and unattractive, then it makes a little bit more sense. And then we're able to get to the deeper issue than just you randomly posting something. So, how were you
mm,
feeling before you posted the picture? And
mm.
how were you expecting, like, what were you hoping to get back in return?
Okay, so you talk about, and I wonder if the um second partner is listening with judgment or listening with, okay, let me try to understand. What do you find most?
Most people are listening with curiosity. At first, people might be a little bit hostile because you've already got the narrative of why a person was doing something. But once I'm able to uncover the what I call the more vulnerable emotion, then the partner tends to soften, like, oh dang, like I didn't know she was feeling alone in the relationship. I don't want her to feel that way. Then we're able to have a deeper conversation.
Mm. So do you find that men are usually posing for attention more than women, or is it 50-50, or can you say within your practice what you see?
Um, I think men typically comment more on the pictures, but it's the women that's posting the pictures.
So they come to you stressed about the comment
Oh yeah,
the hubby or the
yeah.
boyfriend made.
He stays commenting on stuff.
Oh, so the comments get people in trouble.
Yes.
Yikes. So do you find the comments to be inappropriate? Like, I know you probably have to stay more neutral when you're counseling, but do you find those instances where you're saying, like, people are coming to you like, man, he commented on this, I don't know, maybe it's IG model types? What
Yeah.
does that look like?
Yeah,
And is it
it's usually
inappropriate?
inappropriate. I mean,
Oh,
it's usually inappropriate. I mean, a lot of time there's no way around it, right? I mean, unless it's a church post or it's a
oh
cute little
Lord.
baby post, but most times it's inappropriate. But I think to me the difference is discerning the intent behind it. Like, are you looking to, like, are you trying to look single and are you trying to get attention? to step outside of your relationship, or is there something deeper going on?
Wow. So does the conflict lead? So once a person explains why they did it, how do you come back from that? Because I'm trying to think, okay, your man posting on, I don't know, Brittany Griner's picture or whoever else he thinks is really hot, and you see it, and you're probably like, wait a minute, I'm not really ready for you to, like, she don't look like me. She not my skin tone. She not my like my body type.
Exactly.
What's up? Like I would feel a type of way. So how do people come to, I don't know if the word is resolution. What do they do so that I guess they respect one another's boundaries?
Yeah. I really think it depends on the stage of their relationship, because if I'm hearing about this and it's at the beginning of the relationship, I'm also wanting to find out, are there other things that are being done in
Red flag.
support of the fact that this person's probably being inappropriate? So think about the stage of their relationship. A lot of times, if the relationship has a pretty solid ground, then we're able to pretty much work together and help the couple figure out what type of, I call it an enup, right? Like what
Hmm.
type of agreement do you want to come to about posts, about texts, about comments, and stuff like that. So really think about with your partner, what boundaries do we need to set, and even what we both agree is important or even appropriate. Let me say it like that. What's appropriate to post? Do we want to post different things about our relationship, or do we not? Do we want to comment on other people's posts, or do we not? Do we especially need to have some guidelines around when we're arguing what we will not post? Because most of the time, people know y'all are into it
Girl,
based on what you post.
girl, I feel so sorry. I have a I don't even want to say too much about it because people down here might know her. But a situation where a woman was like had it with the man she was married to.
Mm-hmm.
He is a non-US citizen, and she was talking about he's a scammer and he's a this, and he only tried to get with me for my money and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of find out they back together now. Like it's so terrible. Like I hate it,
Okay.
and like I'm
Yeah.
laughing and like kind of like, oh my god, that's painful.
Yeah.
Where in your, and I don't know what else is going on emotionally, mentally, whatever. So it'd be like step away from the keyboard kind of thing. But I agree with you. How much and what you post about your relationship, y'all really have to be on the same page about that. I have friends who are married. You don't see them post nothing, not their kids, not they man, nothing at all. And then I
Yeah.
have people in
Yeah.
my life that are like everything their husband do is like, yay, my man took me to Waffle House, whatever it is. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, y'all can have a moment where it's just you two. I'm not mad at it, but I
Right.
think about the psychology. I'm like, whoa, I wonder if her husband uh I don't know, needs more. I mean, I know your husband's gonna need attaboys and affirmation, but I'm talking about this man could tie his shoelace. And there's a whole social media post about it and how wonderful he is at doing it. So
Mhm.
talking initially prior to, or sometimes I guess these things happen and then it raises the issue. What do I do? What is appropriate? Don't be mad. It's an Instagram model. I don't really think nothing like that about her.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing her, but you posted though, but you wrote a comment though, and it made me feel very uncomfortable. So I guess having the conversation, making it be known, hey, this hurt my feelings. This girl is, I don't know, like a Chinese pop star, and here I am, whatever, African American, whatever. What's
Mhm.
going on here? Please explain to me.
Mhm.
And then if a person continues to do it, or do you find that they usually acquiesce and try to come to a middle ground, or is it like you met me like this is what I've been doing, and I like this person, so I'm going to show it.
Yeah. I think again it depends on the person, it depends on the stage of the relationship. Sometimes unfortunately I see people who are just flat out disrespectful regardless of the boundary that they set.
Wow.
They just do what they want to do. And then at that point you have some decisions that you have to make about the relationship. But then you have some people who genuinely say, you know what, like I didn't mean anything by the comment, but I also realize how it made you feel, so I'll adjust. So it really
Uh,
just depends. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm looking at some comments. Let's keep the comments respectful. What about some people posting pics of themselves every single day? How do you feel
Mm,
about that? Because I feel like sometimes anybody who meet me know I might have to be public in a sense. Not really because I'm a private person, but you know what I'm saying? Like you have to post something. People have to be able to see you. It's part of the quote job, if you will.
Yeah.
What about that? When people literally post all the time, do you see that bringing conflict into relationships?
Yeah, I really think it depends on what you just said because a lot of the people in my practice are very high functioning and some people are high profile. And so, because of what they do, they have to post every day.
Right.
Some of their, some of their funds are coming from being able to post every day.
Hello. There we go.
So, yeah, so it makes a difference. And so, I think it depends on Doug what type of pictures they're posting every day. Now,
Mhm.
again, if you have an IG model, then she's going to have to put herself out there every
Right.
day because the funds are there because of it.
Why
But
you
if
pick
you
this
have
woman and then you
somebody
don't want her
that's
to post? It is the most craziest thing why people like date a stripper and you don't want her to strip. But that's how you found them. Yeah, people get really
they
territorial.
do.
It's weird. I find it weird, but maybe they understand it. But in my mind, I'm
Yeah.
like, but you chose somebody who was public or private or introvert, extrovert, or whatever, and was
Yes.
posting all her eating and every minute at the club or at the
Yep.
beach. I don't know.
It's cute at first, isn't it?
Yeah, they and honestly, the guys like it, and then it's like,
Yeah, it's
uh-oh,
cute.
I don't want everybody to see my stuff or whatever. You're like, but
Yeah.
this is how you met me. So that's very interesting. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about money. So
Okay.
sometimes when it comes to conflicts, money is the root. When it comes to,
Mm,
and I saw a girl post about it, and y'all hit me up on Patreon. You guys know I have a Patreon community as well. I saw a girl post, Dr. Q, about why men date way above themselves or not, or like economically speaking, women
mhm.
who like to go out or women who posted that they go to restaurants all the time and then they date them and then it's like, oh no, I'm not spending no money on you, or we can't afford to do that because in the real world no one really like has all this money to spend going out all the time. So when it
Mhm.
comes to the money issues, what are some of the key hallmarks of conflict that you're seeing in your practice when it comes to people not really getting along or even having it out when it comes to money?
Yeah, I think really the root of it is figuring out the fear. When I'm able to uncover why a person does or doesn't want to spend, I trace it all the way back to childhood. Tell me
Yeah.
what money was like for you growing up in your family. And so sometimes you might have a person who struggled, or maybe didn't have the best of things. And so maybe they were picked on. And so now it's like, I'm going to be fly every day. I'm going to wear what I want to wear. I'm going to have labels on everything. Because nobody else will ever make me feel so bad again, right? Or you can have the flip side of that where a person fears going back to the poorhouse that they are not willing to spend very much on anything. So really uncovering the fears to me helps to get at the root of the financial issues.
Absolutely. I find that very, very real in life. You don't know people spending habits until you really are getting close to them. And
Yeah.
then you're able to see, whoa, this is playing an issue or are presenting an issue because you are, maybe conditioning your mind to think one way or not the another way, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
Yes, Doug says some of my friends' wives post pictures every day. What do you think that is? Doc, is there a psychology behind that?
About posting every day. For some
Yes.
people, it's really just part of their personality. Because think about it,
Yeah.
right? Even in person, you have your introverts and you have your extroverts. The same thing shows up, online. Some people are just like, I just want to look cute, and I want you to see I look cute, and I'll post it. There's nothing behind it, and sometimes there's a deeper meaning behind it. So I think it's
Okay,
really
so it's not
about the
necessarily
personality.
attention seeking, fellas.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think they're equating it to like, oh, she wants attention. She wants attention. No, not
yeah.
necessarily. So it could just be a part of their personality. I think you got to talk about it to know.
Hmm.
Shout
Hmm.
out to Out Here Trucking on the super chat 1999. Thank you very much. Says, hey, Suzette, just showing some love and support as always. I appreciate you. I have to rewatch in the AM. Okay, because I'm looking. I usually have
Team
quite
replay.
yes, team replay in the building because all my brothers are on right now. So I looked at the show schedule. I'm like, you know what? We're going live and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk some real conversations tonight because sometimes we have everybody wants to support one another here. We have a
Yeah.
great community and network, but sometimes like all of us are on almost at the same time. So which is what I think is happening right now. So showing love because 2 a.m. comes early. Oh, it's Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. Keep up the great work. This is your friend. Thank Jeremy. You have always held me down. Thank you, brother. Out here trucking. I didn't know that's what you do. Okay, thank you. A pleasure. And showing love tonight again. They like the conversations. That's why I know It's a lot going on these YouTube streets. But Team Replay, what's up? Let's hit the heart and the light. I saw this. That's why I said, let's hit the light. We're talking relationships tonight. Jeremy on the super talking about conflict. I think, and that's why I thought it was important, Dr. Q. A lot of people have to have conflicts, or we wouldn't have the state of relationships the way we have
Yep.
them. And no matter who you are, you're not above having conflicts. It's a human function. Some people,
It's
honestly, they
healthy.
are thriving when it comes to conflict. I don't
Yep.
mind a little conflict. I like the, but
Yep.
then but you got to know, and I thank God for my family to show how to get past it. My
Yes.
mom and her sisters would be arguing. Oh, I would have thought they would never talk together again. But then somebody has a dinner and we're back. And they
Yep.
don't hold,
Yep.
I mean, we remember, but we don't hold it over the next person for the next
Yep.
50 years. You have
Yep.
families that have been broken apart because people can't say sorry and people can't forgive. So
So
I think
true.
that
Good.
ethos as well, those principles as well, you got to find that in a partner first and foremost, because you are not going to have bliss. Y'all, marriage is not bliss every day.
No.
They want the whole hands and the kiss and the love up and the pretend my sweetie pie every day. That's not how it go every day. Every
No.
day. Y'all
No.
want a perfect man every day. This is what they want every day, Doc. They want this every day. Look me in my eyes.
Yes.
Touch me on my back. That's my little Jamaican. Could touch me on my back. Rub my face.
Romanticized love,
Yes.
right?
And it's amazing if you got a husband that do that. But I was
Yeah.
just like the ninja watching some other channels, and they were talking about like a lot of men right now, especially if they haven't had experience dating, are socially awkward. Like if they have relied
Mhm.
on a lot of what
Mhm.
is going on, with the social media style dating and
Mhm.
the Tinderized dating and all that, is not lending to people who are conversationalists, which is what I enjoy. You have people
Great.
that sending pics of their bodies because that's what they think you're gonna find attractive, as
Yeah.
opposed to you actually,
Easier
you
than
know,
talking.
yes, imagine that. Shout out to Quincy. I see you guys. And again, thank you out here trucking. But yeah, this is what we want to get to, Doc. The look me in my eyes and tell me you love. And the other part of it, you got to be careful of that, because all romance and then no, like, which I say practical or substantive
Substance.
of
Yeah.
how you deal with the morning breakfast rush, or the taking care of dinner, or taking out the
Mhm.
trash, or how
Mhm.
you deal with kids. Those things can definitely leave you lacking, really, if you're not
Yeah.
careful, if you haven't talked about it, or if you have different ideas of how it should be done. So talking to Dr. Q Perry tonight, relationship conference. So we talk about money. So when we talk about the money conflict, I guess we start with where the root of your pattern or behavior or attitudes come from. And
Mhm.
then from there, we can kind of work cross to one another as
Yeah.
to what will work. What can you give us a story? I know you can't give us any kind of like names or any particulars, or you can make it up, but give us an example of where you have seen money play a huge role and how they were able to hopefully come to some kind of agreement.
Yeah. I'm thinking about something that I see that comes up all the time. So think about a couple where one person really, really, really wants to spend big on vacations, and the other person is big on giving money to family, right?
Mm.
So through those kinds of conversations, I'm able to figure out what's the fear, what's your goal, what are your values, right? And as you work through an example like that, where one person is like, I want to be free, I want to be able to travel and go as much as I can. For that person, how can we work together that even though we may not be able to take the 5-star 20-day vacation, what are some things that we can do to still make you feel like you're free and still have a good time within reason? But for example, the other person who wants to be able to help their family, let's then talk about what messages are being sent by always being the go-to person for your family without you feeling like you can never help your family. So in that example, in those cases, I asked the couple to redefine help. Does help always mean finances? Does fun always mean finances? So really working through those, redefining how you see money and help.
Wow, I would definitely have a difficult time dating someone who gave their money to the family all the time. I give when it's
It happens.
emergency or when people are really in need.
Mm-hmm.
We've done fish fries for people and other things in our family when it
Yeah.
comes to like someone who's really desperate, or
Yeah. Yeah.
we pretty self-sufficient, thank God. But I can imagine if there was something like urgent, but I can't imagine a time where someone is totally codependent on, especially if they're a younger able-bodied person, able-minded
Yes.
person.
Yes.
It would be very difficult for me to be with somebody and they're like, oh, I have to slip because this. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoying tonight. We talking about relationships, handling conflict, why we can't get past, not only get along. It's going to be disagreements. This is the thing. Life is going to come at you, and we're going to have places where we don't agree. That's natural.
It's
But
gonna
how do you deal
happen.
with them? Yeah, in a healthy way where it's not what should I say, like zero sum, do or die. We
Yeah.
going, oh, you don't love me, like really? Or and I've seen that. Like we're talking about it very calmly here, but I'm picturing a lot of different stories I've heard my girlfriend share when it comes to what it is like when your man really don't, see things the way you see them. And I
Yeah.
know they say, Dr. Q, opposites attract. People like, the difference in people. I'm like, I don't know. I think sometimes people who are more similarly situated end up being the better matches. What do you think? I don't know. My theory.
You know what? I used to think that
Mm,
in my personal life, and I
yeah.
probably still do, but professionally, sometimes that doesn't work. Because think about this. Think about if we're both conflict avoidant. That's
mm,
not gonna work. Think
no.
about if we're both hot-headed. That's not gonna work either. So sometimes
Well,
those
okay. So, all right.
similarities.
When I say we're similarly situated, I mean like culture,
Oh, okay.
economics, and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. But I
yeah.
see what you're saying. You're saying temperament and
Yes.
emotional, like I guess status or whatever.
Yeah.
I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Where I don't think that both match. I'm talking about culture, mindset, life
Absolutely.
goals, that kind of
Similarity.
match. But
Yeah, for
shout out to,
sure.
but she's
For
like,
sure.
nah, buddy, if both of y'all can't communicate well, that's not a good match. And I agree.
Yeah.
Those things have to be in alignment to a certain extent, or people are going to be like, I cannot stand. And I used to date people that were not very communicative because my father was not. And I used to be like the
Mhm.
strong, silent type. And then I really learned
Mhm.
quickly,
Mhm.
like, ooh, why are you dating people that are not really great with expressing themselves? And then you
Yeah.
can kind of like, again, your mind tells you, everyone says, no, 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 I will never do XYZ. I'll never marry X. And you go right back
And
to
you
it.
go
God,
right to it, don't
why
we?
we do that? Like, it's like, it's so painful to, and that's why I'm like, you got to look at how people grew up. You got to look at how people,
Yeah.
family dynamics were. Cause
Yep.
oftentimes, even the best of us, I think like 80%, that's just me making up a number, of who we are or who we become is a lot of what we grew up with. I think 20%
Mhm.
probably for me, just today, how I feel, nature
I would
versus
agree.
nurture. Other
I would
people might
agree.
disagree that there's a lot of give and take. I'm like, nah, bro. A lot of times
Mhm.
we fall back
Mhm.
on that default when it comes to how we think, our what should I say, our mores, our social what should I say, code is
Yeah, the
very much
internal
shaped.
compass.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Our internal compass is shaped by a lot
Yeah.
of what we've experienced, but a lot of it, I feel like the majority of it is very firm by the time we become adults. So
I
think about
agree.
that. We're talking conflict tonight, how to handle it, how to get through it with Dr. Q Perry. She's on social media, Facebook. I saw you, Instagram, definitely. That's how we met. And we were just talking, and then we end up here.
We
Her
did.
expertise is counseling. Now, do you do virtual counseling for couples and stuff like that, or do you have to come
I
in your
do.
office in Dallas?
Yeah, so I my practice is all virtual for traditional, but then I do offer concierge for people who are more high profile, who are not,
Don't want to come to the
their
office. I get
schedules.
it.
Yeah, come to
Yeah,
office
yeah.
setting, and so where I go to them.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice.
for the
Okay,
most part, it's
concierge.
virtual.
Okay,
Hmm.
concierge. We like it. We like it.
We
Get
do.
money, help people. Let's go. So when we're thinking about conflict, and we've talked about the posting, we've talked about the money. Let's talk about the physical. Let's talk about the sex.
All right, let's do it.
Uh, there is so much that we can unpack when it comes to how conflict may arise. But you're the professional. Tell me what you see in your practice when it comes to disagreement on sexual relations.
So there's a variety of topics that people struggle with when it comes to sex. Sometimes it's the how much and how often, right? You have one person who's more sexually active, and then you have, usually it's the male.
Higher libido.
Yep, high libido, and then sometimes you have the person who's just kind of like, just. whenever it's good for me. So that, but then you also have people who are more sexually explorative, where you're like, I don't really want to do the traditional thing. How do you feel about bringing somebody else in? And so people are kind of like, do I try it? Do I not try it? I had a podcast topic once where I said how spicing up your relationship can burn you.
I can't go wrong. Hello.
Yes, can
They
burn
want
you.
to invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry. They better be careful out here. Y'all gonna end up
Yeah,
right here. Y'all gonna be sitting down with Dr. Q trying to figure out y'all.
trying to figure it out, right?
Listen, nothing's wrong. I think therapy is the best thing because sometimes we don't know how to communicate, and I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want to belittle you. But you're not hearing me. I'm not hearing you. Sometimes you need that
Yeah,
ref, if you will, and just a new viewpoint, new perspective in what
yeah,
y'all arguing about. But continue. So people definitely explorative is an
yeah.
issue. Hey, last good man in Jersey, nice to have you. He's on my opposite attract problems. Yes, go ahead. As you were saying,
So some other issues include even different types of uh, so one of the functions of course of depression could be a low libido, and so sometimes the issue becomes, well, he's depressed, he know it causes problems with libido, but he's not trying to get better with the depression, so I internalize that as he does not want me,
care
she
about
does not
me.
want
Mhm.
me, but
Can
they
I
don't
ask
really
you that? Sorry to
understand.
interrupt. Is
Yeah.
also the diabetes and the
Yes.
high blood pressure when it comes to
Yes.
affecting men's sexual libido.
That's right.
I've had women
Right.
talk to me in confidence, talk
Yep.
about their husband or their boyfriend not doing the the work to
Yep.
regain their sexual capacity,
Yes.
and they just living with high blood pressure and just living with diabetes as if I'm gonna eat what I want to eat, I'm gonna eat, that's all, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and
Yep.
they're hurt by it, the woman
Yeah.
I
It's
in the
painful.
situation I've seen. So how does one deal with that type of a conflict?
It's very hard because you also have to think about a person has their personal choice on what they want to do or not do with their body. And so then it becomes for you, the other person, how do you accept? How do you start to accept? Not that you agree, not that you don't want it to change, but in this moment, because it has not changed, how can you accept that this is where we are?
God of mercy.
Hard.
So you have to accept the man just gonna be unhealthy and eat the dang salt. Oh Jesus, I don't know, Lord, because I'm
It's
telling you, marriage
hard
is easy, but when you disagree, that's when the true challenges of marriage arise.
for
That's the
sure.
that's the daily struggle. Okay, I want to eat tomato, you want to eat, ravioli. I want to eat this, you want to eat that, and then learning because people I think are losing that, especially in this whole, we're isolated even more now. It's almost difficult sometimes to realize that's natural.
Yeah,
Adapting to another person is the process of learning to love. They're different. Learning
absolutely.
to love. I want this. Sometimes I get my way. Sometimes he does.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a give and take that I think sometimes gets lost or isn't
yeah,
taught, or sometimes just isn't embraced. When like he
yeah.
supposed to do what I say, and that's what.
And make it happen quickly, right?
Like yesterday, I had asked you for this. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. Okay, sorry. So it's difficult, and there has to be acceptance when it comes to certain things on
Yes.
that sexual plane that you're thinking,
Same
this ain't
thing
going
with a person who doesn't want to do certain things sexually, right? So you may have one person who's open, they may want to try toys, they may want to watch porn, and the other person's like, I'm not really into that. And so
right.
then do you accept that this is who your partner is, or is that a deal breaker for you?
But what if you already married? I
Same
guess you have the
thing,
same thing because I'm
unfortunately.
like, I'm cheering for the to death do his part, but I guess you're like, well, you got to really realize, is this person going to be open
Yeah.
to you want? But hey, great people talking about what? Thank you, RM in the building. Nice to see you, darling. Thank you for being here, one of my fantastic moderators. Um,
Yeah.
Quincy say, I suggest brothers don't skip leg day. It's to boost your testosterone, gents. Listen, a man's pride. That's
Don't
what I'm
skip
saying.
it.
They want you to be happy. And I had a friend girl. Woo. This is what I'm saying. I can't find nobody good. And my friend girl from Jamaica uses Tinder when she'll travel for her job.
Uh-huh.
Because she used Tinder in every city. And she's like, I'm still friends with most of the guys I met on Tinder. and she met this one good guy, and then she asked him because they hadn't been like where when they were in the same city, physical. So I was like, well,
Mhm.
being a gentleman, I don't know, ask him what's going on. And she asked him if he had erectile dysfunction, and he stopped calling her too. I said, I think you got your answer. I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't
There
making
we
fun of the
go.
brother. I was just kind of like, we both were kind of like, well, he clearly likes you. He's clearly checking for you. Maybe he has you on a roster. We don't know. But he seemed very interested. But
Yeah.
then, the one question I was like, and she didn't know. She just asked because she was like, something is not
Or
clicking
he could
here.
have been offended. Or he could
Oh,
have been
you think it
offended.
was? Yeah.
Yeah, he could. I
Mm-mm.
mean, that could have been her answer, but he also could have been, offended.
Yes, some people want you to read their mind. He didn't tell us what happened. Like, I'm like, do you
Very
want to call
true.
him and find out? And she's like, it's too late. It's been months, and I don't know. But yeah, so the sexual differences sometimes between pairs can be conflict driven, I think.
Yes.
Sure. Tell me a best case scenario. I guess so. If you want to get into the toys, if you want to get into the other adult stuff, that's what Quincy talking about, the rows and the hub.
Mhm.
Talking about squats and deadlifts, please. So thank you. That was so funny. Yeah. So man. So I don't understand how you get past it, or do you leave the person? Is what you're saying? Just leave them because they ain't changing.
It's usually a different issue, right? It's usually something underlying that. Again, going back to what is the emotion tied to, I don't want to do that? Or what is the emotion tied to, I absolutely must have this in my relationship? Once we're able to get that part uncovered, then you're able to see if it's a value issue. Is this just a temporary phase? The person is just curious and want to try it? Or is this something that the person wants to make a lifestyle out of?
Hmm.
That is, to me, I think the root of it.
It's so much pressure, especially now, again, with the social media, to
Yeah.
be extra sexy and to be open.
Yes.
I
Yep.
saw random interview on Instagram with a white woman in the middle of New York was like, yeah, everybody in New York is dating 6 people at a time, her opinion. And she was like, yeah. And if I get invited to one more open marriage, I'm going to scream. She was like, the summer
Mhm.
she has been invited. She's like, I only want to date single people. And everybody here seems to have like this FOMO, fear of missing out kind of
Yeah.
attitude about relationships. Y'all, I'm here talking about how to handle relationship conflicts with the one and only Dr. Q Perry. She is open, y'all. She's virtual, open nationwide. I guess come on through. Concierge if needed. But we're talking about how to deal with relationship conflicts. And I was just thinking, the same Instagram random clip I saw, the woman was like, but I don't see that in Europe. I don't see that in England. Those people
Mhm.
rather, her opinion, based on this Insta interview, uh, they would rather stay with someone even if they didn't like them. There's more comfort to them into staying
Mm.
than to trying
Yeah.
something new, which was
Not
also a
liking the
problem.
change, huh?
Yeah, she was like, well, nobody wants to get with nobody new over there, but here it's like a round robin, and I just want to be with one person. So I'm just like, if there's a lot of sources where possible conflict can arise.
Yeah.
Let me see, the Great Pill throwing some solutions here. Thank you, Great Pill podcast in the building says solution with men: be direct, but understand who you are speaking with. Understand the approach with said person. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
When you're coming across maybe too forceful, men kind of
Yes.
like either
Yes.
spooks up or totally withdraw.
Yeah.
Like, you better learn how to use your sweet whisper voice
Yep.
and not necessarily corner or in any way demean or insult
Yeah.
to
Like,
get
don't
your
be
way. How
aggressive to
about
get your
what
point
are some of the
across.
techniques you see that work with men? Thank you, Great Pill, because the yelling and the screaming and the aggression is not going to work, I think, for either partner, honestly. So what do
Right.
you think are some good techniques?
Yeah. Exactly like what he said. Be honest, and be direct. But I think, because I've had so much experience with men sharing their secrets with me, it's the tone that we have, right? The
Mm.
first thing that people that we
But they
can
say
sound off.
women on this platform on YouTube, they say women got a tone. We're the tone
We
police. We
got
don't like the
a
tone.
tone.
But I think men have a problem with the tone too, you saying?
Um, Not as much as we do. Not as much as
If
we
we get
do.
it in the wrong tone, it's a wrap. We're like,
Yeah,
what? You said
tone.
what? and then it's a
Right. Like, I'm not your son, I'm not
I
your
don't know who you're
whatever.
talking to. I don't know who you're
Right.
talking to.
I'm not your son.
It's
So it's the
a wrap.
tone.
Yeah.
Be honest, but and direct, but making sure that your tone still implies respect and curiosity and love.
Amen. It's all in how
Yes.
you say it.
It's all in how you
100%.
say it.
I think so many of us sometimes want the respect, don't give the respect.
Yes.
And want him to forgive you after you done tore the man's soul out. Not
Yeah.
saying everyone is like that. There are very
Yeah.
loving women, especially who I watch my channel, who know how to
Yeah.
deal with people professionally, lovingly. I think
Yes.
sometimes when it comes to conflict, again, some of us go to the furthest extent and just realize you cannot take certain words back. You cannot take certain
Mm-mm.
behavior back.
Mm-mm.
So now that becomes a part of the blueprint, the imprint on him or on her. So now
Yeah.
when you want the grace and when you want the love and you're like, but I would never, you're like, yes, you did. You embarrassed
Yeah.
me in front of my friends, or you did this at work, or
Yeah.
you like I saw
Mm.
this one apology. This is me wasting time during my lunch on Instagram. This guy, I hope it was a spoof doc. I don't know if you saw it. Dressed up Johnny Gill style, went to the lady's work. I was like, I pray this is
I
a
didn't
prank.
see it.
He had flowers and was playing, baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, begging, begging.
Oh,
And he went into the board. I'm talking about the wife was standing up giving a presentation, and the people looked genuinely surprised. There was one black guy in the back, like clapping, like, yes. One Asian dude looked so confused, like, should he save her from what's going on? It was the funniest thing. But I'm like, what do you do? Or what did you do? And I worked at a place like this one time where a lady always got flowers with a I'm sorry card. I'm like, bruh,
mm,
if conflict does occur, we're not talking about necessarily, I'm not calling infidelity and things like this conflict, but if
right.
conflict does occur, I was like, how much time he gonna send you flowers? How can he just get it right eventually? No
Yeah.
disrespect, because at least he was trying to make it right, whatever it was. But I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
dang, every week he gotta send flowers to say I'm sorry about something. Like it puzzled me. It wasn't more so like, okay, judgment of her, but I'm just like
Right.
kind of like, what skills, what is
What is
happening
happening? Yes.
that this person has to literally send you stuff or come to your job singing? Like, how do you make up for it? Like there, so the tone is, I'm asking you 10 questions at once. So I was asking you about ways to address it. So you're saying tone, thank you, Gray Pill, is a
Yes.
major part of it. And
Yeah.
then like, I don't know, should people be doing the song and dance literally or what? How do you atone for it, if you will, once it does happen?
You know what? I think really being aware and being genuine to say, you know what, in the moment, I was feeling prideful, I was feeling hurt, you know, I was embarrassed, whatever the case may be, but really tapping into that softer emotion typically helps the other person really understand where you're coming from. Because otherwise, it's going to be more tit for tat and it's going to look like you're trying to justify
Yeah,
what you said.
back
But if
down,
you're able
bro.
to,
Back
yeah,
down. Sometimes we want to be right so dang bad. Quincy
yes,
talking
the
about
pride.
women apologize. Stop the cat. There are women that apologize.
Quincy, yes,
Listen, a lot of us apologize. One of my friend
we
guys who's
do.
married said he married his wife because that's the first woman he ever heard. He tell that story all the time. So and so,
Apologize.
the first woman ever apologized when she was wrong, and I was like, dang.
She was a keeper, huh?
Yeah, I was like, then you got the ring for that? Okay, but no, we out here, Quincy. Yes, it is hard to find sometimes people, again, just by patterns, have learned, not so healthy ways of dealing with conflict. And so
Yeah,
you get this kind of like, uh, you know, what should I say, chest out,
yeah,
deuces up, let's go, instead
yeah,
of like, this is the man that you love, or this is the woman that you say you love, or at least y'all live together, or y'all together or dating or
yeah.
trying to build something with. Let's put it there. We don't know if they're married, but if that's a person that you want to hopefully hold in
Mm-hmm.
high esteem
Mm-hmm.
at every chance, and even when someone kind of breaks code or goes again has a difference of preference or a difference of opinion in you,
Yeah,
or did something you don't understand, we can't be so quick to be like, put them in a chokehold. Bruh, what you did that for? Like it's I mean a verbal chokehold even. Like it's
for
not,
sure.
I don't know. How do you teach that to, and I'm talking from a woman's perspective right now, but how do you teach that?
Teach the. Let me just make sure that I'm clarify
Conflict
your question.
resolution approaches that are healthy as opposed to destructive.
Making it worse. Yeah. So one of the main things is you staying in control of your own emotions and being aware of your personal triggers, right? Because I know if I ask you about your partners, you can probably tell me 20 things that they do, when they do it, why they do it. But really it's focusing on you and staying in control of yourself. So that way you can say, you know what, babe, like I realize I'm getting triggered. Let me take a time out.
Mm.
That can de-escalate already. Or
I'm a
you can
big,
even,
I don't want to talk right now.
yeah,
I
like
don't run from it, but I do like a cooling off because
let me
sometimes,
have a moment.
yeah, because
Yeah,
in the
that's
moment
it.
I might say something crazy. I might be like at the top of my lungs with it, but
Yeah.
I might say something like, okay, this is very difficult for me to understand, or I will take it personally. But after I cool off, I can look at it and be like, okay, if this person really
Come
is
back.
down for you, he wouldn't be doing this from a place of trying to injure you, trying to embarrass you, trying to do something crazy. So
Yeah.
let me think about, just like you, a little bit of psychology. What's going on in his head? What happened in his childhood? Knowing his parental dynamics. Why the heck is he
Yeah.
doing this? So
Yeah.
again, we might not be able to be mind readers and we don't always get that right. But I try to at least give the person, if they deserve that, if
Yes.
you're with them, they should get the benefit of the doubt so that
Mm-hmm.
you can start to process it from a neutral, not a personal, attack, or
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
personally attacked type of posture. You have to be really careful. I agree with you 100%. Take your emotions
Mm.
out of it. Step away. Step back. It's
Take
not
some
about. I tell
time.
people all the time when they
Yeah.
tell me stuff. I'm like, "Hun, it's not about you. He must be dealing with something else. He must be." I'm like, I'm that friend that's always like, "Don't take
It's
it
got to
personally."
be something going on.
Yes, if he forget the birthday now, if he, I be trying to vouch for some of my homies, but I get it. There, it's an affront. It's a what the
Yeah.
heck? I do all this for this other person, and all they can't even remember my birthday. They can, it feels
Yeah.
like, oh,
Personal.
yes, and it's a rejection, and
Yeah.
people get caught up, like, as you said, in those emotions, and so the
Mm-hmm.
conflict is not even ending up to be about what happened, but it's more about how you made me feel or how I felt as a
How I
result.
interpreted that.
So people
Yeah.
get really caught up
That's
in
the
that. We
interpretation.
doing some work over here, y'all. I hope you are hearing what we're saying. Topic tonight: how to handle relationship conflict. I'm here with Dr. Q Perry, psychologist out of Dallas, and she's doing some work. She's helping us understand why there are conflicts, why sometimes we misinterpret them, and how we can try our best to come back to hopefully a civil place. I don't know if it'll be an agreement, but at least a civil place. I
Yes.
still love you, boo. You still love me. And we can, cooperate to a certain degree, even if we don't always agree. I feel like that's sometimes where you're going to have to meet because you and your man not always going to see, the
Mm-hmm.
same thing the same way all the time. So we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about the social media differences and some of the money and the sexual differences in relationships that often bear out conflicts. What other areas do you see in your practice where conflicts arise?
One thing under the sexual too that we didn't get to is this whole idea of not being attracted to your partner anymore because their appearance has changed.
Ah,
Whew, that is sticky, but it
so that
happens
happens
all
a
the time.
lot. People
Oh
say they're
yeah.
not attracted anymore because they fat. Let's talk the truth, doc. What
Yep.
what happens?
Yep. Yep. So usually, when I meet with a couple, I meet with them first together, and then I do individual sessions with each of them. And one of the things that typically comes out is like, yeah, like she kind of let herself go, and I'm not really feeling her like I used to, or yeah, he doesn't really do it for me in the bedroom, and I don't know how to say it. So that's a
Child,
whole deal.
that's difficult.
Very difficult.
So
Very
it's like a mediation. I'm trained in mediation as well. It's like you hear what one side's truth is, but you as a mediator cannot tell the other side, and you hear the other side's truth, and you're like, Lord of mercy. They're dealing with two different fact patterns, two different facts.
yes.
You
Yep.
think they think, oh, this is the problem, and no, that's the problem. So do
Mm-mm.
you counsel each individual kind of without disclosing what the other person has said, or how do you deal with that?
So thankfully, I haven't had that to be the case for one relationship. Those
Okay.
are usually one partner, right? But usually,
Oh,
my
not on
advice,
both sides. Usually it's only
yeah,
one partner that feels like that. Okay, I got you
yeah.
now. Okay.
Thankfully,
Whoa.
yeah, it hasn't been the same. But usually, my feedback is the same: is that this is something that I think is important to discuss and how do you feel about me helping you to share this information with your partner?
Oh, so you don't disclose. You try to encourage them. You got to
Yep.
disclose this. If this is such a,
Yes. We
hindrance,
got to
deal
put it out
breaker,
there.
mood changer, relationship shifter,
Yeah.
they got to know. And it ain't
Yep.
going to be for me. It's going to be for you.
Yep. And I'm going to help you say it.
Nice.
I'm
And
going to
that,
be with you.
oh my gosh,
But
I
it's
wish,
got to
Doc,
come out.
that's when you get this right here. That's when you get
Yeah.
You mad?
Like, what?
You mad? Because I don't think it's not a polite thing in our society. Dr. Q, you keeping it real. A lot of times people don't like to talk about that physical. Again, women are taught, I think, just love me for the inside of me, and I think
Yes.
there's some that subscribe to that. There are others who are like game. No, I know what men want. I'm gonna keep myself in tip top physical shape, and
Yep.
so again with this competing message, social media message that is like, well, dang, if his girl looked like this and my girl looked like that, or again, maybe it's not even comparative. It's just like I really want or was in love with this shape, this figure, this whatever. And it's like, but people change though,
That
Doc.
old version of you.
But you gonna get 20 years older, you gonna get 40 years older, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
But people, so what they gotta do, lose weight, or they gonna lose their husband, or what's gonna happen?
You know what? To be honest with you, I haven't found that people are often unrealistic, right? Like, I
Okay.
don't think there's somebody who's looking for, the 40-year-old person to look like the 25-year-old model. It's more about like you not looking your best, right?
Okay, so it's not about a particular size. It's about you carrying yourself.
Yes. Like you're not doing your hair, you're not shaving, you're not getting your hair cut anymore. Like you got the same
Mm-mm.
jeans on you had on like 20 years ago.
Okay, so
So
like the sloppy.
sometimes it's weight, sometimes it is weight, but
Guys,
and
I
some
went on a date with a person. I don't know. I'll maybe tell this on my Patreon. Dude had a stain on his shirt, like not a little one, and I didn't want to address it because I don't want him to think I'm making him feel small.
yeah.
But it was a big enough stain. You ever see those stains like somebody brush up against a dirty car, like that black
Yeah.
looking soot line? He
Yeah.
had it right in the middle of his stomach. So I was like,
You think he was aware?
I didn't want to bring it up. I was like, the clothes wasn't particularly, what should I say, fashionable.
Yeah.
The clothes, he looked like he had on gym clothes. That's why I did. I was like, did you just come from the gym? And he was like, no.
And that did it for you, Suzette?
He had on gym clothes.
Like, at least say yes, huh?
I would have been okay if you came from the gym. I invited you out, and you come in gym clothes,
Be
and your shirt got
intentional.
a stain on it.
Yep.
You can't make it up. That's what they say. Yeah, sorry to digress. I'm gonna go through that on Patreon. I can't do that to people in the public square. Having some fun with Dr. Q Berry tonight. Hope you guys are enjoying the conversation. She's a psychologist out of Dallas, Texas, talking about how to resolve, how to handle relationship conflict. I'm sure you've seen a lot of stories, girl. We're gonna wrap up. We have about 15 minutes or so. Maybe I'll drop the link and see if anybody wants to come up and share their stories of conflict. Sometimes it can get uncomfortable. Y'all can just stay in the chat. Shout out to everybody showing love in the chat. Join the conversation here. We got a lot of stuff we could talk about and go different ways with, because I had a couple on here. Shout out to Uncle Stu and the old man on the block and his wife. I did a conversation with them maybe a couple months ago now. Shout out to them. That I was trying to get them, and it's so funny, Dr. Q. When I invited them on, I was like, how to resolve conflict, and how to. Both of them are divorcees who are now married. So, but what I really didn't count on is they get along so well now. I was trying to get them to understand that if we're at a marriage or divorce rate at 50%, somebody not talking to somebody taking offense with somebody, but they get along so well. It was kind of like, okay, this is what bliss looks like, y'all. But I'm trying to say, tell me about y'all exes and how y'all ended up having to leave and cut and run, or I'm
Yeah.
gonna say cut and run, but justifiably step away. But I think there were so many lessons there. But I hope y'all are getting some good. If y'all liking the information, hit the like button. If you're liking the conversation, support. Appreciate y'all. So many people in the chat making me laugh. Great people talking about Sue. You invited him. I need to see. Listen, Patreon only. That's what I wonder. Sounds like it was across his chest, like a touch. I'm not. I wanted to know. I thought, okay, he probably went on a gym machine. When you could work out and something rub
Yeah.
you. So that's why I gave him the out, thinking, hey, did you just come from the gym? When he said no, like, all right, let me eat this little appetizer and keep it moving. Y'all.
And have a good evening, right?
Boy, Jesus. I'd be trying not to judge on superficialness, but then sometimes, like you said, appearance matters. Like, I
It
know how I
does.
carry myself. I don't want to be with a partner who doesn't care about how he looks, especially when you go out to eat. Like,
Yes.
that's the basic. Put you on a nice jeans, even a t-shirt or a polo or whatever you button down, whatever your style is. But
Mm-hmm.
look neat. You got on a
Mm-hmm.
Raggedy Ann and Andy outfit with the stain.
I get it.
Bop, bop, bop. Sue, get out your own business. Let's go. So we go tell y'all if you want to come up. The link has been dropped. Yes.
He said,
What if that was his best shirt? That was not his best shirt. I'm trying to get to this bliss. You hear me, guys? I'm trying to see how we can make Black love a norm, okay, in this society. And one of the things we're gonna need is conflict resolution skills.
yes.
No relationship is perfect. No two people agree on everything. It's just not possible. That's not how we're wired or how we're built. But there's a lot of expectation around what people should and should not be doing when it comes to marriages and relationships. But Dr. Q, tell us. So definitely the looks. This is a very interesting conversation. I'm sure we could shelf that for a quick second in the conflict department of where conflict comes from. What other top areas would you say in general are places in which people who maybe in every other way love each other find that they're on two different pages?
I would say spiritually.
Mm.
Everybody, of course, spirituality is so personal. It's so individualized, and so a lot of times people have very different views on spirituality, and it impacts a lot of different relationships in terms of finances. Do we tithe? Do we not tithe? It impacts parenting. Do we want to do free education? Do we not? It impacts sex. Is God okay with us doing, having an open relationship? So spirituality is so important. Even with holidays, where we spend them, which holidays we celebrate, because people are so different. And even with how you grew up, you end up having to unlearn some things spiritually or, religious wise, that you may or may not want to keep in your relationship once you become an adult. And so I think that's another major area where couples have conflict.
I had to mute myself. I'm like, there's so much. There's so much.
Yeah.
Quincy talking about, you leave my photos alone, Quincy. You so funny. You talking about best believe God sees those nasty things we're doing all down here.
He does.
Listen. This is I could imagine a really big thing, especially, and I'll just speak from a general place of where I know a lot of my friend circle is when it comes to women, especially probably between like 30 and 50. We were
Yeah.
raised in the church if we're African American. Now,
Mm-hmm.
younger women, it's like maybe half and half, maybe even less now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Zennials and whatnot are less churched, but
Yeah.
African American women were very highly churched in the 80s and the 90s.
Yes.
So that purity culture, huge. I saw a post on Instagram yet again, not my normal top news source, but it just happens to be relative to a lot of relationship talk, which is what we're having tonight. They were like, lady was talking about why is there so many single women who are older, above age 30, above age 35, 40. And she was basically saying like that hardcore 90s and early 2000 purity culture wasn't no joke. right? I know in my
Mm.
20s, I was sold out for Jesus. Okay. I was
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
I was on a praise dance team. I was on the choir. I couldn't miss a meeting. Okay. So in love. Okay. With
Yeah,
my father. But
yeah.
yeah, it was my whole heavenly father, hallelujah. But just in case you guys are not from church culture, but yes, Quincy saw by his eyes was on the sparrow. Absolutely. Yes, that's right. He's a pastor's kid. So we closer to God than the rest of you silly. Um, yeah, decision making creates a lot of drama. I'm gonna unpack that real quick as our
Oh,
last
yeah.
question because absolutely. I think when you're talking about in that spiritual approach to life, there are folks who were in very much entrenched in a religious
Mhm,
experience, and then other people.
mhm.
I find that a lot of Black men love Jesus, but when it comes to sex, they're not even they're like God made sex. What are you talking about? Like there's no guilt, there's no shame. Like the way women have been, what should I say, conditioned
Mhm.
by church culture a lot of times to feel guilt with sex and to feel shame with sex. Men no, don't carry those same burdens. So I
Mhm.
can imagine. Can you talk a little bit about that because it's a different mindset totally when it comes to those type of decisions.
Yeah, I really think it depends on kind of the sect of religion that you grew up in as well, because sometimes you have that devout, that is just absolute, don't do anything until you get married type of thing. And then sometimes it's that, well, you can kind of toe the line. It just depends on, how you define sex. And so really, I think it's more about that person's personal conviction, right?
Mm.
Because you have some people who are saying, if I do anything sexual, like I really feel like I've let God down. And some people like, if as long as it's not intercourse, we're good to go.
I was gonna say it. Oral is moral, as some people like to say.
Yep. Yep.
We moved from PG now to PG-13,
The
but yes,
grown.
grown folk talk. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's people that have that as a very strict line. They're not playing about that. And I
Yeah.
think in relationships, especially, you got to talk about that because not everybody's on that same page with you. Like you
That's
said,
right.
how devout you are
Yeah.
matters. How devout
Yep.
you are. And sometimes they be playing games in that church house though. You think they all for Jesus, but then they be praising and then they be
Not
doing tiptoe. Big brother tiptoe.
looking
Okay, you
around
said
back, huh?
talking about shaka yourself. Quincy got a lot to say talking about Kojic is where all the freaks be.
Oh my
No, no,
gosh.
no, 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 no. Shout out to the Kojics. You know, Lizzo say she grew up with Kojic. I thought it was
Really? I
interesting.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, singing and I get it with her music now. I'm like, I get it. You're just having a
Yeah.
service. So
Yeah. Yeah.
give me the build up, and then we're back. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But yes, religious beliefs gotta be talked about, guys, and conviction. Because even like how often you go to church or if you don't,
Yeah.
I think sometimes you'll be surprised. Even some people do not go to church regularly, me, but you might have still certain convictions on certain things. So it just depends.
Hmm.
Can't really tell just because the person is involved at a church
Yeah.
or if somebody is not, where they truly stand in their heart. So I think that's amazing. I want to get back to what last good man in Jersey said when it comes to decision making. What do you think about this comment? Can you reflect on this, Doc? Decision making creates a lot of drama.
I think it can, but I think it depends on how the decisions are made. If typically in a couples therapy scenario, it's where one person makes a decision that affects the relationship, but the other person either was not involved in the decision or they were invited to share, but it probably feels like their opinion didn't matter in the end anyway.
That's hey, Great Pill. All right, first and only guest tonight. Cause we got limited time. Great Pill, come through. But yes, what you're saying is absolutely true, Doc. It's like,
Hey,
don't tell me afterwards. And then you have
yes,
other people that love to. I hear this from guys. Ask the opinion, and then they don't use it, and they do what they want to do anyway. Or the
yeah.
guy is like, "But why do you keep asking me?" Shout out to Great Pill Podcast, enjoying you in the chat, and now having you on the panel. How are you tonight, brother?
I'm
Howdy.
good. How you ladies doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Glad you can come up. He and I did well, we did one show and then he's been on my panel a couple times. Shout out to him. We were talking about the R. Kelly case when we talked about it,
Ooh.
pretty
Yes.
privilege and the R.
Yes.
Kelly case. It was really interesting. Go back and watch it, y'all. If any moderator, or if you wouldn't mind, drop that link to that show in the chat. But Great Pill, I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yes, there are a lot of opinions.
Yes, and a good amount of views on relationships in general. So when
Yes.
it comes to relationship conflict, based on what we've discussed tonight, what are your thoughts?
Again, it happens. The dating world kind of sucks. It is what it is. When it's dependent on media and what have you, you just have to just know the rules of the game. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the best way you can deal with it. Try to take, I would say, collectively run with everybody advice. Just take the little bit that kind of makes sense and work with it as your own, and then build tools from it. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying about the guy that you wanted to date at the smear. Some people might say, just be direct and just would have told him, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's that? You know, something like that. But you was being nice and sweet. But
I probably should have said, "What's that on your shirt?"
yeah, but just
played it off a little.
Yeah, but for him, you know what I'm saying? Not for you, but just for him. So the next time he date another person like you, he'll know better. Like, hey, let me at least check myself before I walk out my house. Let me check myself again before I walk out my car. You know, let me check the teeth or something. You know,
you ever sat next to somebody and you look like you guys were at two different events? That's how we look. We walk into a nice restaurant. I'm cute.
Oh wow.
I'm cute. I got my little new dress on. I'm ready with my sandals and everything. And I'm sitting next to a guy that looks like, I don't know who he looks like compared to me. Do you get what I'm saying? Not
he probably just had that.
Diminish him. We just weren't dressed appropriately for being at the same place.
Yeah, that can go a lot of ways. Again, it was a loss for you, but maybe for him, like, oh, well, I'm with this beautiful women, but at the same time, he probably had the I don't give a F attitude.
I didn't know what it was, but we won't find out number two. We're not going to find out again because I was so perturbed. I was like, wow, if he can't just put on a decent shirt and a pair of pants on a brunch.
Been there.
What we doing? Yeah. Like, I have to tell you what you got to wear to a brunch. I was like, ay. Not have me walk into the car looking like, okay, bye. Like, bye. Like, it was weird. It was weird. Sure. But anyway, so have you ever left anybody over a conflict, Great Pill, or that was a breaking point for you in any relationship?
I think the worst has got for me because like my home is my piece. So I think I had two incidents before I actually raised my voice. And when I realized I raised my voice in my own house, I was like, yeah, one of us got to go and you're not paying rent. So I think it's time for you to leave. Another time was I remember one lady, I guess she felt like she was obligated like that. I owe her type deal because she invited me. Paid for the whole 9 and had a great time. And at the very end, it was getting back to her house. She was like dictating rules, demands. Like, it's just time for me to go. So
that's kind of rough. That was an ATL. Whatever.
No, this was this was at Biloxi with the casinos. Like I never did slots, and that was her thing. So I was like, I don't mind going just for experience. Great time, and came back, and she just 0-60 hot, and I'm just looking at her like.
Yeah, calm down. Why are you giving me orders right now?
Yeah.
Interesting. Have there been any conflicts? Okay, so those sound like real deal breakers. So when you had to kind of raise your voice at somebody and be like, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? We're not doing anything. How about that's it, right? And then someone, I can imagine barking orders or saying like, this is this, and you better do it. No, not gonna have that either. So what advice would you give when it comes to, okay, there are gonna be points where you generally don't agree with people. Like everybody, doesn't see the world the same way.
Correct.
So what advice would you give from a man's perspective, or maybe even to women, where we see, he don't like this, or I like that, whether we talk about, money, even friendships, we didn't even get to conflicts about who you keeping as friends. Things like you will see where you're very uncomfortable. How would you advise people to go about it?
I would say first, make your own personal list of what you feel like is either deal breakers, red flags for yourself. And when you're conversating, let's say I just met, Miss Perry, and we're conversating where this, again, back to media, if we're just DMing, okay, that might be a vibe. Okay, she might trust me enough to get the phone call. That's another level to it, right? And hopefully she has enough sense to ask all the important questions because she want to make sure I check all her boxes. Again, same thing for men. So if I'm checking all your boxes, hey, what are my intentions with Perry? Okay, now if we're on that vibe, okay, now let's do the meetup. I suggest everybody do the in person because again, if it's a situation that me and you address, I can easily just break away, no harm, no foul, and 9 out of 10 times the risk factor is very low. But if we pushing the bar a little bit, let's say to restaurants or some kind of private settings, like if it's home, you have to still have a little bit more of a vetting conversation with that person when you bring them into the levels. But understand, especially with women, because I think women are scared to do this. Make it very clear to the guy, like, hey, this is my intentions coming to your home. This is my intentions coming to a little bit more personal setting. So once you do that, then you're a little bit more in the clear. And just low key, ladies, I'll say men do it too, because I'm not going to throw men like we're the toughest guys out there, because there's some women that will knock you out, drug you, and do all some other stuff. But for women, make sure you alert your friends, families, have an app or something here, put a shared location on your phone, like this is where I'm at this time. So that'll kind of risk that factor.
I've learned that lesson. Y'all heard me tell my story over here. Oh,
That's
I got bamboozled into I thought was a work lunch at somebody's house. And I'm like, sir, where's the restaurant?
I'll say brunch, Quincy, brunch.
So what Quincy's saying, y'all so funny in the chat. Doug said I would rather have no hug than a Christian hug.
What's wrong with the Christian hug? That's not
a
big church hug.
Oh, no. I think he talking about the other Christian hug, like
I was like, thank you. I think you so funny. Yes. No, keep your location on so your ex can come find us. No, your bitter ex. I see what you meant. Can find us. No, we're not doing that. We're talking conflict resolution, y'all. There are ways in which I think we can be good at this thing. I think this is again something that is a part of life. I think sometimes people have this unrealistic expectation of relationships, and when we see all of a sudden I don't agree with what you like or what you do, it becomes no, this is, I think sometimes it can be even scary because especially if you're married, you're like, oh my gosh, is this where the rubber meets the road? Or is he gonna walk away? Am I gonna walk? You really want to hold them or handle them delicately because you don't want to again go to the point of no return. I find that some people are maybe less skilled, they pop off. Like great to hear Great Pill say, nah, as soon as I felt like came in my throat, the timber rose, I have to go. Like, this is not where I want to live. This is not how I want to live. So it's good to know that. I'm going to ask you, Great Pill, for your final comments, because I know there's so much more we could talk about. Doc, what other things do you we didn't talk about friendships outside of our relationship. What do you see when it comes to friendships bringing conflict into a relationship?
I think it it depends on if it is a true friendship or if there's been a romantic relationship that has evolved into a friendship. Because usually it's it's a baby mama that I'm cool with, and we genuinely have a friendship, but it's the fact that y'all have history, right? And then it's the stage of that person's relationship. So if we're still kind of new, and I know you have this long history with somebody,
and that baby is 2 years old.
Yeah,
that baby's still young.
Make you feel insecure versus we're deep in our relationship and somebody hit me up, they're married, they're just wanting to check in and say hi. I think that tends to kind of be okay. All
right. What are your opinions when it comes to friends? Quincy say, how many of us has them? Who did? We remember, bruh. What do you have you seen in either in your own personal or maybe your friendship circles, Great Pill podcast, on in terms of friendships with outside people causing conflict?
Yeah, when she was, I would love to have her on just to react to some 90 Day Fiance shows, because I literally had one top of my head because they had a lengthy, long period friendship for 12 years, but I'm not gonna dive into that one. But for me, I'll just speak from my personal experience. I have a friend that we dated and didn't work out. I think it's like maybe 3 years, and we kept the boundaries as friendship. I just called her just to check on her. Let me get that little angle in there.
There you go.
You got it.
So just to keep the boundaries, that's one. But unfortunately, if I hear about it, it just wouldn't bother me. And previously, I say, for example, my ex co-host, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes from my understanding, and this is my experience too, I just recently found out most people in the other sector, YouTube spaces, everybody got YouTube girlfriend and boyfriends, and I'm like,
It's your work
nah.
wife.
Yeah, that's
I
my
don't.
work.
Yeah,
Thank
I've
you.
always
Thank you. I said that.
never liked that term. I'm like, that's such
Thank
a
Work
you.
wife.
dangerous and
Yes,
loaded
work wife. But
term.
unfortunately, the other party don't like that, Perry. Even though we're actually being work wife, there's nothing outside. There's no
I
flirting. But
never liked
unfortunately,
that
Oh,
other
it's
term.
people.
dangerous.
Yeah, this is
I,
very
I never
dangerous.
liked that term.
That's dangerous.
As soon as my man come on and tell me he got a work wife, it might be on. 'Cause we don't play
Yes.
that. I don't. I wouldn't even acknowledge that. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't like what you're saying right now.
See,
Don't
very
come to me
dangerous.
talking about you got to work. Wife.
But again, all I could do is like, hey, let me still stay on the straight and narrow, and then she got to believe what she wanted to believe. But other than that, again, I had that incident happen where like she said, like she reacted like, hey, who's this chick? Why she's calling you that? And I'm like, okay, now I got to explain the inside joke story of the quote unquote work wife.
No,
Now I
you
got to
have
explain it.
to, because
Yeah, you
Yes.
have to. And I'm fine with it, but unfortunately, it doesn't play out in their mind where it's going. So I was like,
No,
okay,
we still
cool.
gonna be checking your phone. We said no, just kidding. I'm
That's
married,
fine. Hey,
I'm just saying, let's keep it
you want the
real.
eye? Go ahead, get it.
Listen, while you typing, I'm over your shoulder. The last good man in Jersey said, "Married friends are different than single friends, even though some of them married friends are
Yes.
dangerous."
Yes.
True.
But
Very.
the same thing with friends versus friends of the opposite sex. Yes, where I think typically is usually, if that's again a heteronormative sense, is usually the friends of the opposite sex that draw concern and people get nervous and not want to be around them. Great Pill, we gotta respect the doctor. The good doctor told me she got to go. I know we're a little over time, so I want to respect her time. Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Q, for allowing
Thank
me to
you
go
so
over a little
much.
bit.
I enjoyed it.
That's
Yes,
fun.
last comments from the Great Pill. Go ahead. Any final comments about how to handle conflicts when it comes to relationships?
Sure. Just be prepared. That's the best way to. But
It's
no,
coming.
just
It's
yeah,
coming.
It's
it's
coming.
coming. Always, always. You're gonna have conflicts, with everybody. If you have conflicts at work, you're gonna have conflicts at home. You're gonna have conflict with families. Use all those as your tools. Just don't be too irrational and bolster. Just with men in general, screaming, yelling. It doesn't help anything. Especially if you're first time dating, second date, third date. What are you really losing? You know, $200 out of a meal. What, an hour or two at your time, just go home. You know what I'm saying? Take the L and move from there. But I will say use those as learning tools, especially from your friends, because I was raised by a lot of women and all they did is talk, 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 talk. And I took everything they said, and when I applied it to those situations, it helped me out in the long run. So take that.
I
That's
love
good.
it. Always learn
Good.
from the elders. I think sometimes I feel like that's like what's missing a lot in both men and women.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you saying that. Learn from other people. You don't have to make the same mistakes, y'all, and be ready because it's going to happen. It's a natural part of any relationship, really,
It's going
at
to
work, at
happen.
home, romantic or not. It's a part of life. So I appreciate you, the Gray Pill Podcast, for coming up. You know, you're always welcome up here. Have a great night, sir.
Good
And then
night.
there was one. Dr. Q, it's been such a phenomenal conversation.
I
Thank you
so
so
enjoyed
much.
it.
RM, thank you, darling. Says follow her on Instagram. Again, I'm going to go back and put all her handles into the description so you can support. Do you have a YouTube channel as well?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
When I was looking for you, you know, I like to do my little research, but sometimes people are called different things. So I was like, okay, maybe she doesn't, maybe she does. But I appreciate you lending your professional expertise with us tonight. Hopefully it helps
Thank
somebody
you.
watching to rethink or reconsider or
Yeah.
gain new perspective when they dealing with the ones they love, their partners or their wives
Yes.
and husbands. So final comments from you, Doc.
Yeah, like we said all night, conflict is coming. Be prepared for it. Conflict is not bad. It's a matter of you not wasting a good fight. So think of conflict as a data point. What can I learn about myself and what can I learn about my partner and what does that mean for us in the future? So this can be applied in dating. It can be applied if you're in a long-term relationship, engaged, or if you've been married, if you're newlywed, or if you've been married for a while. Don't waste a good fight. What can you learn about yourself and what can you learn about your partner?
I love it. Well, great way to end, y'all. Give it up for Dr. Q Perry. Love you, sis.
Thank you
I
so
hope we get to
much.
do it
You've been so
again.
great.
All the best to you. Thank you, Dr. Q Perry. Go ahead and check her out on socials. Yo, she has that juice. And if you need any type of counseling and therapy, she is a resource. Check her out. We have her Instagram in the she answered my DM. She is on Insta. I've seen her on Facebook as well. So reach out, y'all. It's always important to find support. Appreciate you guys supporting. If you want, donate to the channel. Cash App is $SuzetteSpeaks. Appreciate everyone. Thank you, Jeremy, on the super chat for being tonight's sponsor. And don't forget, we got a busy few weeks. We talking marriage today and conflict resolution today. Shout out to Dr. Q Perry again for being a phenomenal guest. But guess what? Tomorrow, 7, be here. Open mic conversation. Black women in the news will be our topic. We're talking a little, The Little Mermaid. We're talking Sheryl Lee Ralph. We're talking Serena tomorrow with another YouTuber. Conversations with Nicole. Then Saturday, I have my brother Sim Sia. Yes, not Sim Sima. Sim Sia. You've seen him on here early supporter of this channel. Kind of took a break, he said, and now back on these YouTube streets. And he chose a topic: looking good kept me broke. Looking good kept me broke. That's Saturday at 12. Can't wait to hear what that brother has to say. I don't even know what he's gonna say yet, y'all. So I'm excited. Then next week we got We Need to Talk. My brother Alan from We Need to Talk will be here. I believe that's gonna be next Wednesday, probably, because Thursday I think is gonna be Harrison Family Values. All streams are up, so be sure to like them. Go ahead and hit the notification bell so you know when the streams are up. Dr. Q, real quick, I want to say goodbye to you in the back, but thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed her as much as I did. Dr. Q Perry, check her out, utilize her as a resource. And again, thank you so much, Gray Pill. Thank you for coming up. Appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, RM. I appreciate you, my fantastic moderator, for being here tonight. Support the channel any way you can. Spam the comments. Love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.